Remember when life used to be so easy? Say what you mean, and mean what you say. Remember when I used to say, I love you, almost every day. And though those feelings don't ever go away, it just gets harder to say. Say what I mean, and mean what I say. Remember when my words just froze, that sunny day in Bangor Bay. I looked to you with love and fear. I knew what was happening. It was all quite clear. Remember when, before the stroke, before the pain, my life was happy, ordinary and plain. I had all I ever wanted and I never complained. So why did I lose the one thing I love? My voice. My words. My sound. My life. Remember when I grew so sad? In my head, I thought I was mad. I could hear everything around me. The birds, the music, the noise, your voice. And all I could do was look at you with thoughts of love, all locked away on life's perpetual rainy day. But then came the music, again in my head. I couldn't escape it. I am not dead. It started lowly and built up slowly. So over the years, I faced my fears, joined a group with others like me, who could not talk, but feel and see. Who knew art could be our release? Painting and drawing, writing and singing. Days of discovery, creative and engaging. And you find freedom on the rockiest road to lift our spirits, give us new hope that anything is possible, if only you believe.
There are over 150,000 strokes in the UK each year, and about 4,000 of those take place in Northern Ireland. There are currently 34,000 plus stroke survivors living in Northern Ireland.
We always think of stroke as to do with our grannies or our parents, but unfortunately children can take strokes even in the womb. They can take them as toddlers. We see a lot of people coming through 30s and 40s and 50s with stroke.
Stroke. The stroke. 4 years.
It was an extreme stroke.
Stroke.
Hospital for 7 months. Before it happened to Paul, we all thought this is something that happens to old people, you know?
Yeah.
A bad toss of a coin, you know? It can happen to any of us.
Do you find yourself confused with the term stroke? Well, ischemic stroke is the most common type, usually caused by a blood clot or a piece of fatty material blocking an artery. Hemorrhagic stroke is when walls of blood vessels in the brain become weak and burst, causing bleeding and brain damage. There is a very simple method to recognize a sign of stroke. F. Has their face fallen on one side? Can they smile? A. Arms. Can they raise their both arms and keep them there? S. Speech. Is their speech slurred? T. Time to call for help.
The day after it happened to him, we were straight over to the hospital because we heard on the phone Paul's had a stroke. And we thought, no, don't be stupid, he's only 39.
The most common symptom that everybody would associate with a stroke is loss of function, loss of the function of their arm or their leg, or maybe loss of speech. Maybe the ones that are less known is loss of vision with one eye, and also loss of coordination and loss of balance. And again, that's simply down to wherever the part of the brain has been affected by the stroke.
He was right-handed.
Right hand.
Now he has to do everything with his left hand.
Yeah.
Aphasia is the communication disability that happens as a consequence of stroke, and it means that the individual loses full or partial ability to read, write, spell, speak, comprehend, or work with numbers.
He has to. You'll find he repeats what you've said to him because he's processing in his head.
Yeah.
He's still Paul. He's Paul mentally, but physically he's not Paul. Paul would play golf, fishing, everything, active all the time. And since his stroke, obviously all he can do really is go walking with the dogs and gardening. He never could fish.
No. Summertime.
The only thing he caught was a cold.
Cold. Cold.
What we try to do is we create opportunities for people to get involved in arts and creativity programs, and we've delivered different types of programs including drama, dance, visual arts, painting, drawing, sculpting, clay work, and we've even done photography and poetry as well. So we look at a really diverse range of art, but this particular project, which is called Stroke City, Arts for Life After Stroke, we also have a series of arts workshops which are going to take place at the Northwest Regional College, and that'll be delivered by college staff, and that will be open to stroke survivors, carers, family members, so that'll be a cross-generational project and with people with different levels of ability. Some will have some experience in art and some will have none. It's a well-established research now that arts and creativity can be one of the tools that can be used to help people recover from an illness or a long-term condition.
Sometimes the really dark experiences and the detours in life can actually bring out the most creative spurts, if you like. You know, we've worked very, very closely with Northwest Regional College alongside, you know, a lot of our projects. I think the students are fantastic and the lecturers, their commitment is unbelievable. And it's not just exclusively within media, we've worked with textiles, fashion, art and design departments. And I think to have a facility like this and an organisation like this, working with so many other organisations, you know, is really, really important for the future of not just the profile of the city, but the future of the young people and older people that participate in this. One of the most significant things about arts and culture is that it transcends all boundaries and all barriers.
We were a wee bit daunted by the prospect of having these stroke survivors in here, us not knowing personally what that's like or having no first-hand experience of what that might be like. So we tried our best to do a bit of research into it, but until you're there and in the situation, you don't really know what it is you're dealing with. What we plan to do is that, you know, over the course of the weeks, they produce some beautiful, you know, very expressive pages based on their personal stories. We try to focus on the positive sides of things.
They embraced it. They embraced all the different techniques and processes. So overall, it was just fantastic. Really enjoyed it, the whole social aspect, the interaction, and also for the carers, because they were working with the stroke survivors on the same level. Really, the stroke survivor was taking the lead in a lot of ways. They were stepping back. So it was sort of regaining that sense of who they are and their own identity. And that really is translated into each of their pieces. Their own identity is coming through.
When I first met Roy Witters, I was immediately welcomed by a kind and welcoming smile. A year after his stroke, Roy met his soon-to-be wife Jackie. Soon after, he recognised he had a hidden talent in painting and drawing. All of Roy's paintings are from photos he has taken himself. He has taken these photos and recreated them onto paper. Roy told me that having a stroke has completely changed his outlook on life. He has now become the adventurous type and regularly goes on camping trips to Kerry with his wife Jackie. I really connected with Roy and Jackie, and I wasn't surprised hearing that Roy was nominated for the Life After Stroke Award. He's a kind and loving person, and is a talented and unique artist.
Well, I got involved for a very personal reason. My mother-in-law had a very, very bad stroke. She's been dead some years now, but she survived 8 years with this stroke, and I became involved with the organisations which were the predecessors of the Stroke Association, Action for Dysphasic Adults and Speech Matters, which eventually became the Stroke Association in Northern Ireland. And I just became involved by taking my mother-in-law to various functions, various speech groups and day groups, and became aware of the extraordinary work that these groups were doing. And so when I was then asked to be the patron of, as was then, Speech Matters, I was only too delighted to do that, and I'm delighted still to be associated with the Stroke Association.
Young people tend to think that they're invincible, and all of us have went through that phase in life where we think that none of this will ever afflict us. And even as a young man, I discovered my father with a stroke when he was 63, which might sound old to young people. But he's been alive for 20 years since then, permanently disabled since then. And this was probably unavoidable. But for many people it is avoidable. For many people, not taking up smoking will prevent them having a stroke. For many people, perhaps not drinking so heavily and eating all of the fatty foods will avoid them having a stroke. And whenever you see someone with a stroke and with that level of disability, there's a massive incentive not to have a stroke. So I'd encourage people to actually get to know someone who has a stroke, and talk to them about the impact that it's had in their lives, and do what they can to avoid ending up in the same circumstances themselves.
That's what life's about. It's all short. It's all but shelf life. Even us.
I think young people, myself included, are all guilty of thinking that things like strokes just aren't something that we need to worry about. Then I met a really amazing woman called Ruby Sutherland. I think the best way she tried to explain what it was like to have had a stroke to me was by saying it was like completely losing your identity. That the person you were before just didn't exist anymore, they were gone, and you had to try and find them again. I think through talking to them that possibly art could maybe fill that missing jigsaw piece for some of them, just fill that piece that they can't find. I think it's time we all started listening a bit more to what they had to say.
You live life the best you can without fear. Life's short without fear.
For us, the real draw to the Stroke Association project was the creative arts link to health and therapy and helping survivors of stroke. And there are lots of arenas now where our GPs and our hospitals are actually turning to the creative arts to help post-illness and the carers of people who are impacted by ill health. And there's a realisation that arts therapy has become very important in the arsenal of ways of dealing with that.
But see over the course of the 5 weeks, how long have we been here now? That's 6 or 7 weeks, isn't it?
6 weeks.
He's got his hand coordination and his ability has got a lot better. Yeah. I think the more he does, the better he's getting.
The story behind the panel represents each individual's personal journey through their stroke survival. Colour representing hope, text representing events that are important or occurred within their life, and images which have supported them and encouraged them to continue to survive on this journey.